former FBI assistant directors, two of them, Chris Swecker and Ron Hosko, both join us now. Thank you, gentlemen, for your perspective today. Let me, Chris, start with you. And what's your take on where we are now? I assume everybody's following kind of a procedure that they would be familiar with. And what should we expect for the rest of the day?
Yeah, we're getting sketchy information, but what information I've seen, you're in the process of the render safe process up in New York. They would prefer not to detonate it. They'd like to render it safe, but not detonate it because an unexploded explosive device is a forensic windfall. There's all kinds of evidence. Now, you can still get it even after it's been exploded or rendered safe, but it's, they would prefer not to have to blow it up. It looks to me like the Soros part of the investigation is probably further along, and if it is indeed related, then they're going to have a good amount of forensics already available to make comparisons, and there are many things that you can do forensically: hair, fiber, tool marks, DNA. I mean, it is a literal forensic bonanza.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit more. And Ron, maybe you can pick up on the point. I mean, I think people who are not professionals in this regard would look at these incidents and say, well, that this appears to be targeting prominent Democratic politicians and, or in the case of George Soros a few days ago, a Democratic donor. But you never want to read too much into that and start making assumptions, right? If you're in law enforcement, and instead stick to the facts. So what are the most important facts or the most important questions you'd have as you're investigating?
Right. There are some things that stand out today as obvious, perhaps, to us, but law enforcement has to open the aperture fully, work toward a suspect or subjects, and that means considering everything as a possibility. As Chris is saying, look, the forensics are key right now. The forensics around these devices, if they're able to successfully disrupt the devices and maybe collect fingerprints, collect some DNA, look at this bomber's signature, that is the construction of the devices. What's the power source? What's the explosive component? What's the container? We've been told pipes. Is that black pipe? Is that galvanized pipe?
Right.
Is it PVC pipe? Looking at all of those things, starting to work backwards to the delivery, to the construction. Where were these components purchased? Is there anything unique about them that might take them to a particular location, particular hardware store, manufacturer, and start to pull all that information together, and hopefully that leads them to a potential suspect, just based on the forensics.
Anything, Chris, though, in what we know so far, and as you rightly point out, there's a lot we don't know that might speak to whether or not this was someone who's experienced versus someone who, would be described as an amateur, for kind of lack of a better term. The CNN device was described by the Associated Press as a pipe bomb-like device. Anything you read into any of this?
Yeah, the pipe bomb is probably the most. It is indeed a rudimentary explosive device. I mean, you can. I hate to say this, but it's fairly easy to construct with some powder, and you have to have some sort of triggering device, whether it's a pressure plate or some other type of triggering device. But again, these, as Ron points out, the materials, many a bombing or many a attempted bombing of an explosive device has been solved by tracing the materials back to a specific store. And there are a lot of ways to do that. I'm not going to give them up here because we've got a bomber out there watching probably. Yes.
Okay, so there's, in other words, you don't want to go talk about sources and methods, but there are ways of doing it. Is kind of the larger point. So I would assume, Ron, that's what the authorities are doing today. Maybe before we wrap up, Ron, with you guys, just a word on, there have been, I know Catherine Herridge at Fox News was talking about this a little bit earlier, there has been a report from FBI officials of an uptick in this kind of thing, of more package bombs being sent to, not only politicians, but high-profile figures and what have you, and the FBI had traced that back in her reporting to about mid-2016. I don't know that, what you would say about that, but it must say something about the times that we live in. What's your impression of what we're kind of living through?
Well, my impression of the times is probably like a lot of folks, that we are horribly divided, down the middle almost. The vitriolic language and exchanges and demonizing the enemy, the other side for whatever reason, whether it's identity politics, narrow issues, or broader issues, we are divided in an ugly way. Whether that's the driver I'm not entirely sure. If we look at the Austin, Texas bomber from about 8-9 months ago, there was no, I mean, he had his own politics, but we didn't see politics as the driver for what he was doing. And yet here is somebody who was really threatening and damaging to a region before he ultimately was identified, was pursued, and blew himself up. Right. So the overall drivers I'll leave to the FBI. More often than not, we tend to be here because of an active shooter. And we see evidence of mental illness and all kinds of other drivers, disconnect, disaffected people. So it remains to be seen what the driver is today. But law enforcement's going to have to get out the word to other logical recipients. Yes, and put out the warning to all of us.
That's the other thing. We'll talk more. Ron and Chris, thank you very much for today. We appreciate it.